Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to take some time today to talk about corporate social responsibility, especially for our for profit friends out there who are looking for ways to engage in their business in maybe a slightly different way. So, I wanted to start by kind of defining what it is. A lot of people get confused by this. Some folks think it means more about a company's kind of sustainable products and commitment to the environment. Others focus on, what is it that a company is doing to give back to charity in the community. And it can really mean all of those things. But by definition, corporate social responsibility is a business model that helps a company be socially accountable to itself, its stakeholders, and the public. So, kind of in a nutshell, it's what are you doing to give back to the community, to do something good with the resources that you have? Practicing corporate social responsibility can also be called corporate citizenship. And companies that are kind of aware of this really kind of understand what the impact of their business is on the area that surrounds them, whether it's a local community, a region, or broader. And so it's something that they're doing that has some kind of good impact on society. It could be economically, socially, or environmentally. So let's talk a little bit about why it's important. Right now, I can tell you from our experience, we've worked with a number of clients in the recent months that have really been looking at how do we change up our marketing? How do we change up our brand image and awareness in the community? And one of the things that we've worked with those companies on is their corporate social responsibility impact and their presence in the communities that they're in. And it's important because when there's a perception by your customers, especially, that you're being a corporately socially responsible company and working through your business model to be responsible to your community, that can kind of bolster the company's image in their mind, and they may be more likely to buy from you or to engage in some way to support your business because there's this perception that you're doing something good. At the same time, as a company, you have to be able to meet the demands and the needs of obviously your shareholders first, or any other stakeholders that are involved and investors in your company. So you have to make sure you're kind of financially in a position to be able to manage your day-to-day operations and meet the expectations of those folks first. But then once you're at that place, or you have the opportunity to maybe have some resources to give back, what do you do with them? And so sometimes, corporate social responsibility looks like programs that can boost employee morale. It looks like them giving sponsorships to charities for certain types of work in the community. It could be volunteering that they engage their employees in participating in. But either way, it empowers typically your employees and your corporate structure to engage in some way to do good in the community. And it also can boost, employee morale, as I mentioned, which can lead to greater productivity in their work because they feel really good and connected with not only the business they're working for, but that they get to use their talents and skill sets in the community to do something with that. So let's talk about engaged employees for a minute. The way an organization treats the community suggests how they treat their employees. And so, as a company, really thinking about what is it that we want our employees to experience internally so that they're better citizens and they're socially responsible outside of the workplace. And a lot of times, what that looks like is that an organization, a company can pay employees to basically volunteer their time, and employees get paid to do that during their workday at a local charity or an organization, or to work in some effort that is socially benefiting the community around them. So it helps the employee to feel respected. It helps them to feel like they have kind of a deeper tie to the company that they're working for, and typically helps them feel more energized and gives them something to look forward to be creative and use their skill set for a good cause. Corporate social responsibility also helps to build loyal customers. And so customers, in a lot of different studies, there's kind of been this increased consciousness about consumers buying products from companies that are socially responsible. And many times that can look like, responsible practices in how they manufacture or distribute their products, but can also be, products or services that are also locally sourced. They could be things that are used in collaboration with other maybe organizations or individuals within a community. And so, really thinking about, if you're marketing, that you are being a socially responsible kind of citizen and company, what that might mean to your customers and how important is it to them. I would recommend maybe doing a survey, to find out what is important to your customers from a branding perspective that make them feel more committed to you as a business to buy their products from. And how important is it that you need to maybe realign your values or your commitment to the community from a communication standpoint to let them know what that is. And thirdly, there's kind of this positive public attention that comes from being a socially responsible company. A lot of times, there's tons of bad news out there in the world, and the media covers that. But it's a really great way to spotlight the great things that are happening in a community. And a company really does stand out when they can kind of showcase the good work that they're doing, and it brings some positive attention to your company, your brand, and your culture. So it's something to think about. If you're looking for some extra, positive PR, what are those stories internally that you could highlight? Who are the people within your company that are leading these efforts or that you would like to establish to lead those efforts if you don't have a program already? And how can you kind of turn that into a marketing tool for you and your company? So let's talk a little bit about how to get started. You can start with something as simple as an employee volunteer program. Many companies pay their employees, as I mentioned before, to volunteer their time during business hours at a local charity. They may do it on a certain day of the year that, a lot of volunteers in the community are getting together to do something great, or it could be something that you decide to do on your own terms as a company because it meets a certain schedule or theme or something that you're pulling together, typically that kind of resonates in the HR department, your corporate communications and marketing. So kind of think creatively about what's the best time of the year and what's the best way to use those hours to really encourage your employees to get involved. I would recommend that you design some parameters. So thinking about your corporate culture, what are the types of organizations, charities, causes, efforts that you as a company want to get behind? What change do you want to have out there in the community? And I would recommend that you define that, not just that you do lots of great work in the community and we participate in lots of things, but really get specific about what's important to your employees, what's important to your executive leadership. How do those two things come together to really define what you support and what you're getting behind as a company? That's also important so that as a nonprofit, I'm looking for a company to support me in doing something, and maybe I have some volunteer opportunities or I want to ask for a sponsorship at some point, it's really important for them to have defined parameters to know who it is that is going to align best with their mission and who isn't. And so as a company, one of the things you can do is really kind of be focused on how to define that and what that means to you. It's something that you can integrate very easily onto your website. So from a public facing perspective, people know exactly what you're supporting. It's also something that's a great thing to integrate into your social media to be able to tell those stories about your employees or your corporate culture and how that's impacting the community and why it's important to you. It's also a great idea to, maybe engage your employees in kind of committees. So something I've seen that has been done pretty well is that, a company may have a lot of different things that they're trying to do from a corporate engagement and employee engagement standpoint. But one way to get employees really engaged in community work is to maybe create some committees. I've seen everything from those employees being on a grant review committee where they review potential sponsorships or grants that are then given out to various organizations and nonprofits in a community to do that work. I've also seen those employee committees get involved in really deciding who they're going to support for the year, what organizations those are, what are the efforts that they're going to measure around that, and then really pushing out to their peers how to get involved and kind of taking the lead on implementing a process to get people rallied together and get people involved. So if you don't have a program or you don't have a lot of staff, to take on the full responsibility, think about breaking it into committees. And maybe if everybody does a little bit of work, then you have a much more broad program and a stronger program because it's kind of built from the buy-in of your workforce. The other thing I would recommend is that you really define the metrics around what is going to be successful in this effort. In my experience, being having a corporate social responsibility program also means that there has to be some return on investment. That all of this work and time and energy and money that's put into the investment in your community has to have some return. So defining that is really important. Setting those metrics for what are you going to look for every month or quarter to determine, are we on the right track? Do we need to make some changes? Do we need to drastically overhaul something that we're doing to be able to get a different result that we're expecting? Sometimes those metrics can look like an increase in your audience. Maybe it's focusing on social media and broadening the base of viewers or followers. It could be that the goal through corporate social responsibility is to create more strategic partnerships, and it could be with other businesses, or it could be aligned with the nonprofit sector within a community. It could also mean that the goal is really to create customer loyalty so that you can increase your bottom line. So thinking about those things as you kind of work through this are important. And I hope some of these tips will help you get started on creating your corporate social responsibility program. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to help you or reach out and answer those. We can be reached on our website at www.mymabs.com. It's mymabs.com. And I really appreciate you joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you soon.